I'm Steph Strickland from GeekWire Studios. We are here today talking about how wonderful gets done. Performance made flexible. Let's introduce our panelists. Das?
Hi, Steph. Thanks. I'm Das Kamhout. I'm Vice President and General Manager of Cloud and Enterprise Software here at Intel.
And I'm Paul Turner, Vice President of vSphere and VCF Product Management at VMware.
VMware and Intel engineers have been collaborating for some time. Tell me more about that.
So our history goes back at least 15 years now. Early work on virtualization, Intel virtualization technology, a hardware capability, brought a bunch of benefits, first around performance and isolation, but also really helped VMware enable vMotion, which is one of the key capabilities that accelerated virtualization adoption across IT.
If you actually think about what we enabled there, we gave the ability to actually take VMs or applications and actually have isolation right down to the processor level. And it also allowed us to do non-disruptive vMotion. So you can actually take live machines with your running applications and actually move them across running environments, even between different generations of processors. So pretty cool stuff.
We heard the third gen Intel Xeon Scalable processor bring some important new security features to the mix. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, built into the next gen processor is new crypto functions that we can actually use. Like what customers care about is a confidential computing runtime environment. And that means that all their data traffic needs to be encrypted at all time. And accelerating that encryption capability is very, very important for our customers because they need to run at the speed of business. And so what we have now with the Intel processor is this much better crypto functions that we can use, SHA acceleration functions, to accelerate customers' data encryption.
Yeah, exactly. And everybody's doing cryptography, whether it's east to west, north south for communications. Another advance that we've been working with the VMware on is what we call the Intel Software Guard extensions. We announced this on an earlier processor, but really taking it to the market for enterprise now. And it's focused on how to enhance and protect the most sensitive portions of the workload. So, crypto for east-west, some encryption, but this is basically how do I take my crown jewels, my prized data and secure it in a fashion away from the host. So, your most important assets.
With the third gen Intel Xeon Scalable processor really having some specific benefits in the analytics and AI sphere, I'm wondering what you think are the technical features of most potential benefit to VMware customers. In other words, what will your joint end users want to take advantage of first as these solutions start to roll out into the marketplace?
We power the majority of the hyperscalers, so a lot of the IaaS companies out there in SaaS and their capacity. And we've been working with VMware how to extend that into VMware Cloud. So whether it's on Amazon with VMC, Google or Azure. And so this is where developers and enterprise are going now and how they can leverage the hardware features that we have that are helping do AI and ML acceleration, and specifically on inferencing. So we have a technology called DL Boost, which really helps inferencing, which is built into so many applications now to basically handle real-time decisions. So our shared customers can reap that benefit whether they're using PyTorch or TensorFlow wherever they are running on Intel and VMware.
And what we've done is actually made that incredibly easy to use. So you now have it just part of the Intel processor, which means every one of your VM has this automatic acceleration. And you can use it for, as you've done your kind of training and you want to actually get analytics done at the edge, you get the accelerated analytics using the accelerated inferencing from Intel.
As we jump forward to what's launching with vSphere 7.0, our Octane persistent memory. And so the big changes there is increase in size, so up to 12 terabytes of memory for VMs. And so this really helps people, pack more VMs onto a node, and so they're doubling basically their memory capacity available. And we've seen this be pretty attractive to a lot of IT shops that are trying to make sure that they can get more out of each system, bringing together more workloads. And I think we're something like 25% more bandwidth, which also helps with that virtual machine density, so you can achieve the right performance that you want, especially with memory-intensive workloads. So we were talking about AI. Machine learning analytics, and a lot of these need high performance through memory, so we've offered that. Second, in the Octane family, we've also introduced the latest SSDs, think it's the P5 800X. And these are the fastest IOPS we've ever seen with the highest storage endurance in the industry. So what that's targeted for is enterprises want to make sure that one, they have great performance, but they also have very reliable operations. So we've been working quite a bit with Paul and his crew to get those coupled together.
And you've got to think about the scale that we're now hitting in 7.0, right? 7.0 U1, which was released back in September, we actually increased the scale per VM to up to 24 terabytes of memory for a single VM. So we're working with large customers running things like SAP HANA instances, and they can run these huge PMEM, persistent memory-based accelerated environments for in-memory analytics and processing of the data. It's a different scale than we've ever been able to drive before. And that's what customers need. They need to have the analytics at scale that they're able to run. They need the processing acceleration at the edge with the inferencing capability built into the processor. It really builds on just the core, Intel VT technology that we started with.
And at the end of the day, what we're ultimately talking about here is a better product, better performance, and a customer cost savings in all of this. I want to talk a little bit about the collaboration in the hybrid, multi-cloud networking and telco areas, please.
Yeah, totally. So obviously on the base of things like ESXi, and we've been working a lot, obviously for 15 years, but also on networking now. So NSX Data Center Suite, focus on how do we optimize it to run best on Intel. We do definitely gen over gen and performance improvements, but just like the crypto features that Paul talked about earlier, looking at how do we embrace this in VMware's network and security solutions. So we have various software libraries that we've opened up to the industry, such as DPDK, that connect right in and help get that value through to the code base that VMware has. And then from a telco workload perspective, which is a hugely important space for both of our companies, we've developed the Open RAN vRAN ecosystem. And this is basically going after and optimizing the VMware Telco Cloud platform, also with Xeon and Intel FlexRAN plus VMware. So giving these capabilities out to the edge, to the telco companies so that they can run their workloads too.
I think telco is quite a unique workload, right? Telco is looking for very predictable delivery, extremely low latency. And you've got to think, this is holding your phone connections, right? This is very critical kind of delivery. And so the work that we've done on vRAN enablement, it actually comes out with 7.0 U2, which is actually just about released. So is really going to enable a whole new set of telco and 5G workloads, which we're really impressed with. And I want to go back actually to Steph, something that you said a little earlier about the cost savings that this new Intel processor can drive in the Ice Lake processor. We shouldn't forget about some of the basic things. The increased core density, the increased number of memory channels that we can drive off this processor. That's what's going to lead customers to drive cost efficiency into their environment, because they'll get more VMs, which basically means more machines, more applications onto the same processor environment, the same single processor, dual processor server. Will be able to just run more of your work. You'll be able to do it with less servers and less cost.
Given that we're all communicating from our homes, it's safe to say that this past year has been an incredible challenge throughout the world. What has Intel and VMware and this alliance been doing to support these organizations that are trying to do a massive work from home pivot?
Yeah, so a lot of the work that we talked about, it's available today to enterprise and developers. It runs on VMware and Intel, whether it's on Amazon or whether it's on-prem. And so a lot of our focus was how can we do better no matter where both of our companies are to ease any pains that people have on turning on systems. People need it easier right now. A lot of people aren't actually going into the office. So I think a lot of our co-engineering there and helping in the solution space has been super valuable. And then for the on-prem folks, one of it is just, can we give them easier, more validated solutions? So we've been working on Intel Select solutions together for quite some time. So for vSAN, we've been doing this since the first generation of Xeon together. And so this is VMware certified, the OEMs validate it, and Intel's worked together to make sure, can I get the best performance out of the box that HCI demands? So without as much time and resources required, so you have to stand it all up yourself, but what can you get from our companies together to make sure that you don't have to spend as much and you can just wheel that stuff in and get going if it's on-prem.
Yeah, I think another thing that we're going to see, the remote workforce is also looking for virtual workspaces and virtual desktop environments that they can run on. And of course, we've got that capability built with VMware's Horizon desktop environment. And so I think that's something that's very powerful. We're going to be able to run more of your desktops, more of your environment, so that more remote workers can actually get the accelerated workspaces that they need.
And we're not stopping here. Paul's team and my team we're working together well on what do we do next. What are we going to do with all these capabilities on top of Tanzu, and then how do we get them into the hands of customers so they can experience now. So we have VMware hands-on labs ready for people to try out the gear. It's integrated and just see how they can fit it into their production environments today. So super exciting. Great alliance.
Paul, any final thoughts?
Well, I think if you just look at the collaboration and the type of, technology improvements that we've made jointly as partners, you can just imagine what we can do together in the future. We're only at the beginning of innovating on hardware and virtualization technology together. It's a superb partnership. And I think Ice Lake is a great processor for bringing down costs for our customers.
Das, any final thoughts from you?
We've been at this for 15 years. It feels like it's been a long time, and we've actually changed the industry quite a bit. So as we look out to the next 15 years, it's what can we do to not just change IT, but change the world for the modern developers, no matter where they are, and just give them the best capabilities that they need to run their business.
Thank you to the both of you for being a part of this today. You can check out more at Intel's Partner Pavilion at the URL you see on your screen. And that is how wonderful gets done.